Hey, Joe. Okay,
Hey
are you ready for
everyone.
this?
All set.
All set? Three, two, one. We
We
are
are Africa
Africa
Podfest.
Podfest. That
Welcome,
kind of
welcome,
worked out.
welcome. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah
that
well,
worked out. Thanks everyone for joining us.
thank you everyone for joining us. I am Melissa Mbugwa and I am co-director of Africa Podfest. Africa Podfest is a festival organizer, a podcast research and podcast development company focused on African podcasters. We are now on the road to Africa Podcast Day, which is going to happen on February 12th, 2022. We are now on a virtual discovery tour of 4 African podcasting hubs. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button to always know when a new video comes up on this Africa Podfest YouTube channel.
Thanks, Mel. I am Josephine Karianjahi, and I'm also a co-director of Africa Podfest. Our 4th stop on this amazing discovery tour is today, Wednesday, January 12, 2022. That's 1/12/2022 or 12/1/2022, if you're counting. And the whole day is coming to you as a celebration of podcasting. And today, I've been saying this, we are headed over to Lagos, Nigeria for the very first time. So everybody's like, give a round of
Amazing!
applause. Yes.
Yes. We're so excited to be in Nigeria today. Africa Podfest started this discovery tour so that we could travel to African countries where podcasting is growing and tell the world about them. So this is in this new virtual space, all our connections are virtual, which allows us to prepare to celebrate Africa Podcast Day, which is on Saturday, February 12th, mark your calendars, by introducing African podcasters to one another in a big way, in a real way, in an authentic way. We thought it would be cool to curate fun conversations and celebrate with curated podcast gatherings on the continent. Even though, we can't travel particularly right now, we can't travel so much in the current state of affairs in the world. But our virtual tour has been so much more than simply a series of events.
Absolutely. And the Africa Podfest Discovery Tour has taken us to 4 African podcasting hubs. We started off in Zambia, we got to Kenya, we went to South Africa, and that allowed us to shatter the single story of Africa across the continent through epic encounters with African podcast storytellers. So with those 4 stops culminating on Africa Podcast Day, we are continuing our tradition of putting African podcasters first through a celebration of their work, their products, their presence, and of course, their connections with one another, with us, and with you as well.
Now that we are coming to the end of the Discovery Tour, not quite a slow end, but a big end, what has made this tour possible? What has made it a success? One is the amazing community of African podcasters who gather offline in each country, such as the community you're going to meet today from Naija Podhub. The podcast community always gathers offline in the lead up to us having this virtual event. The second element that makes the Discovery Tour possible is our phenomenal country hosts who are podcasters with community building expertise. So podcasting hubs in Africa have community organizers, and that's amazing. And that's the whole point of us doing this tour, is to get to meet and connect with these community hubs. And today we have Naija Podhub, whom you'll meet later, a phenomenal group. The third element that makes our Discovery Tour work is the amazing supportive partners who have powered the journey through various resources. And fourthly is African podcast fans, you who are joining in to take part in this, to watch, to comment, to ask questions from wherever you are around the world, who have joined in and made this Discovery Tour a real celebration of podcasting in Africa. Together, we found new ways to connect and new ways to forge relationships around growing podcasting in Africa.
Yes, and today the Naija Podhub Experience is our January Discovery Stop. And we have partnered with Africa No Filter, AfriPods, and Naija to introduce the Naija Podhub podcasters to Africa.
This virtual event today will bring partners together to connect about their podcasts, experiences with podcast production, to learn about how to become better podcasters and level up, and also to connect as we celebrate being who we are. And who are we? We are African podcasters. This event will be online via YouTube, and you're watching right now. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. And so we have been huge fans of Naija Podhub, and when we attended our very first event at Naija Podhub, it was a virtual event, and we had an incredible welcome. And one of the things that I can't forget is how powerful Nigerian podcasters are, and indeed all African podcasters have made huge strides in the last couple of years, especially that bring us all together to showcase a variety of content that podcast creators across Africa, and today specifically Nigeria, are putting out for audiences to enjoy and love.
Today's event is also about encouraging African podcasters to collaborate and enhance the quality of their podcasts while building a sustainable community of supporters, because you can't do this without your community. It's for community by community. That's what makes podcasting amazing. Above all, the event is about helping podcasters connect with each other within your country, across different countries, and from whichever part of the world you are. You can connect today with podcasters whom you probably have not met before this event.
Yes, and we do not present this event alone. We are super excited to welcome Ellie Lovo of Yellow Ray Digital, who are our moderation and social media partners for the Discovery Tour, to take us through this afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you are, through these activities. So welcome, Belia, and we'll chat to you all a little bit later. Welcome.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for that warm welcome, Mel and Joe. This is such an exciting time for African podcasters all around, and I am super excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Belia, and I am the co-founder of Yellow Ray Digital. In the previous Discovery Tours, I was here with my partner, Adele Mackay, my other half, my better half, my creative half. She's down at the moment with COVID. Life is happening, but we're sending her all our well wishes, and she's here with us in the spirit. I know she's watching wherever she is, doing the most and all of that good stuff. But shout out to you for logging in. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. We want to know. Drop it in the comment section if you're watching from YouTube. Drop those flags in the chat section. Make sure that you're making use of that chat section as we go through today's Discovery Tour. Once again, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We are super excited that you are here celebrating African podcasters. And specifically today, we are in Nigeria with lovely Nigerian podcasters and the Naija Podhub team, who is led by the amazing, lovely lady, Faye. Faye is a amazing champion in the African podcasting space, specifically in Nigeria. And she's the founder of Naija Podhub. She's an audio producer and content creator who loves audio, and she just enjoys sound and podcasting. She founded Naija Podhub in 2017 when she recognized that there was a need for African podcasters to be placed on the map and African podcasting content to be found easier. So she saw that gap in the market, and she made sure that she created a space and a community for Nigerian podcasters to be able to come through, showcase their work, connect with other podcasters, and just connect with each other in general and find tips creative ideas, collaborate, do the most as a community. So let us know. I see your guys are commenting on the chat. I see you're watching from Nigeria. Make sure that you're dropping down the countries. Yes, drop the flags, drop the flags, drop the flags. And if you're a podcaster in Nigeria, let us know as well. We would love to know what type of podcasting you're into. It's super interesting to always discover new podcasters and to know that you're part of a larger community. So today, we're going to dive straight into it. We're going to get in all the meat. We're going to talk about authentic storytelling. We're going to discuss what it means to smash the narrative and to be real to yourself and your podcast as well, and how to find stories that are true to you and how to connect with your audience in a way that will attract and appeal to them as well. So get ready, get ready. I hope you are excited. We have a jam-packed program designed to make sure that you learn, you experience, and you just discover a new way to be a podcaster in your space or podcaster enthusiast. If you don't have a podcast, if you're just here to learn and vibe, you're in the right space. So make sure you're comfortable, grab your tea, grab your water, and get into it. So I'm going to ask Faye to jump on and get into the first session of today. Faye, if you are there, come on board, come on board. Let's get going. Let's get started. Ooh, I see someone is watching from Angola. Wow.
Hi, Belia.
Hey, Faye. Hi.
Hi.
How
I'm
are
happy to be
you?
here. I'm feeling excited. I have so many feelings right now, and I can't wait for us to get this on the road and show everyone here, everyone listening, what the Nigerian podcasting space is about. Okay. Oh,
Amazing,
sorry.
amazing. No
Yes, so
problem, no problem.
I will do a quick intro. Naija Podhub.
Perfect,
Hello,
perfect.
everyone. My name is Faye Faye. If you're just meeting me for the first time, I am team lead and founder of Naija Podhub, a community set up to help Nigerian podcasters be better at the one thing that has brought us here today, which is podcasting. On my own, the best I could do was discover a Nigerian podcast, barely listen to it, take a screenshot of the logo, and post it on the Naija Podhub social media page, just so I'd share with the rest of the people following. On my best days, I would schedule a couple of tips and helpful links to share with the community. And on my worst days, I would breathe into a bag, roll on the floor, and tell myself I knew nothing about what I was doing. Now, despite my very ineffective routine, the community kept growing. And as it grew, loads of questions came up. I was asked so many questions that I quickly realized that I needed to do some studying of my own. And the community kept demanding a whole lot from me. So I had a brain freeze moment, the podcasting brain freeze. And this is a word I use to describe 90% of podcasters that I have come across. Because podcasting is like ice cream. You see it, you like it, you want it, you rush right into it, and then you're like, this is way more than I bargained for. So this is actually the moment where a true podcaster is born. It's like a sink or swim moment. Now, one day, after a nice long session of breathing into a worn-out paper bag and rolling on the floor for 2 to 5 minutes, I took an advice from my friend, Oreka Goddess, to register a domain name for the community. It's Naija Podhub. You can check it out right now. That's our website. I built a trash website in the beginning, ruined another paper bag, and hit publish button. I also borrowed an idea from Podcasts in Color and created a hashtag for us called hashtag Pods in Niger. With this hashtag, a lot of Nigerian podcasters have been able to either find the community or find other podcasters. Now, instead of searching for Nigerian podcasts by myself, I put up a short form on the homepage of the website so podcasters can submit their name, their email, the podcast name, podcast link, and social media handles. This is the simplest way for you to be a part of the podcast directory that we have. You can check it out on our homepage as well and submit yours if you've not done so already. Also, you can search for your podcast. It's under the podcast directory page, and it's all there in categories and in alphabetical order. Now, I felt that it was time for us to create a space where podcasters could interact a lot more closely with one another and on a more personal level. Naija Podhub needed to start making more of an impact on podcasters than just sharing info and discovering new podcasts. The next step was to create the WhatsApp group and have podcasters join in. Merely thinking about this and having to manage another platform, I went into my survival routine of breathing into a paper bag and rolling around for 2 minutes. At this point, I remember that I had a lot of conversations with a few podcasters who followed the social media page. I remembered a cheerful, energetic podcast enthusiast who once told me about an existing WhatsApp group, and her name is Rafiat Akiwande, who most of us in the community know as Queen Rafi, and she's our community manager. Now, a collaboration with her meant that Naija Podhub would have a WhatsApp group called Pod Magic Creators. And it's easy to join. You just click on a link and you're in. But the problem with this particular WhatsApp group is it's always full. So you're lucky if someone leaves the group or if there's space on it when you click on it. So this made me realize that we need an extension of that group. And so we created a Telegram group of the same name, right? Pod Magic Creators. And all of these links you can find on our link tree, which is on our social media bio at Naija Podhub across all social media platforms. Just click on it and you'll be taken directly to the group. The podcasters in these groups will tell you that there's never a dull moment, right? On Tuesday, we have Talk Tuesdays, where we talk about trending topics in the podcasting space and arising challenges in that space as well. On Wednesdays, we have New Episode Wednesdays, where we share our new episodes with one another. On Thursdays, you have Elevator Pitch, where you pitch your podcast ideas with the entire community and get feedback. On Fridays, we introduce our new members. On Sundays, we talk about milestones, having thousands of downloads, celebrating 10 years or 5 years in the podcast industry, and celebrating all our wins, contracts, and deals, and all of that. Other days in the group, we dedicate to general Q&A and basically having conversations with fellow podcasters. Check again in the link in our social media bios to be a part of the group if you are not one already. Now, Queen Rafi introduced me to more amazing podcasters. I met Tomi Popola, who is now co-lead of Naija Podhub. I met Dio Moyo, one of the admins of the Pod Magic Creator Group. I also met Hafiz Nova, who at this point I can only describe as a very good friend and supporter of the Naija Podhub family. Now, when Tomi came on board, she came with 1,000,000,001 ideas to keep the community engaged. And in my usual fashion of panicking when I have to talk to a large number of people, like today, I mean, once it's more than 5, it's a crowd for me. I said no to all her ideas, but she had an argument. Clubhouse. Clubhouse made a lot of our ideas easier to execute. And so I gave up the fight. In a given month on the Naija Podhub and Pod Magic Creators Clubhouse Club, we have events on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. Our Wednesday event is called Podcast and Chill. Yes, it happens every Wednesday. And yes, it's a remix of Netflix and Chill, just that the chill in this part is not the Netflix kind. It's more opening the room up to podcasters to talk about any and everything, even your relationship problems. Though there's no relationship expert in the house to help you, but yeah, anything at all you want to talk about, you can bring it there. And this event can happen either on the first, second, or third Wednesday of the month. We start the room by answering podcasting questions, addressing happenings and challenges in the community. And the rest of it just becomes vibes and inshallah, where we have fun and talk about anything with each other. On some days, we have a guest, and on other days, it's just us. Another event we have is our Saturday events, which is called Podcast Review Sessions. Here, podcasters submit their podcast to be reviewed, and we, the volunteers or the reviewers, listen to that podcast and give them feedback based on audio quality, content, host representation, host or guest knowledge of the podcast topic, and a few other criteria. We call for submissions. That's for interested podcasters who want their podcast to be reviewed. We call for that at the beginning of the month, and then we have the podcast review session on the last Saturday of every month. Now, bi-weekly, we also publish articles on the Naija Podhub blog, and it's not just articles by the team members, it's open to every single podcaster. All you have to do is write a good podcast related article and submit it to us. There's a link on our social media bios that says guest article. Just click that and we'll get back to you. This part of the community or the activities in the community is handled by the fourth member of the team, who is Rachel Towabola. She is our content strategist. She's also in charge of the monthly newsletter, which includes highlights from the month before, news about the month to come, upcoming events, record-breaking moments in the podcast industry, how to buy our merch, tips, and a whole lot more. Podcasters can also submit anything they want to promote, and these will be featured in the newsletter. Now, to wrap up, we have our annual town hall event, which is tagged How We Can Serve You Better. We have a Podmas challenge where podcasters release a podcast episode every day in December and split a cash reward if they make it through. This is moderated by Dayo Moyo. We have top 50 and top 20 Nigerian podcast charts. This helps podcasters see how well they're doing on the charts. Now, the community does so much to serve the podcaster, and in return, we hope to see a thriving industry that tells the truest stories of Africa and Africans as a whole. So that's basically what Naija Podhub is about. Thank you so much, Africa Podfest, for putting together this event. And thank you, everyone who's a part of it and who's watching right now.
Amazing. That was so beautiful, Faye. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I feel so ready to come to Nigeria and be part of the system. Like, you guys are doing so many events. Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, whatever day you want, we got you.
Yes, we got you. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So obviously, if anybody needs to find Faye and the Naija Podhub community, you should check them out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They are very active, very, 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 very involved, and they got all the events. Whatever you need, they got you. So make sure you sign up to their newsletter, like Faye said. Make sure you check out their events and join their community. They have so many events going on, and you cannot miss out. The best thing you can do for yourself is join the community and do the most. Once again, if you're joining in for the first time, welcome to the fourth stop of the Discovery Tour. We are in Nigeria today. Drop the Nigerian flag in the comments if you're joining in from Nigeria, wherever you're coming in from in Africa. Drop your flag. We would love to know. And today's hashtag, Marianne asked on Twitter, today's hashtag is hashtag Discovery Tour stop number 4, or hashtag Discovery Tour Nigeria, or Naija Podhub, whichever one you feel like. Make sure that you're using all the hashtags and interact with us on Twitter. We are wanting to get into conversation with you. We got this. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into our first session today. We have a jam-packed program, like I said. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you're sitting down. I hope you know that today we are learning and we're not getting bored. We're doing the most. And to get started, we're going to have a podcast workshop hosted by AfriPods. It's going to be a technical session that will take 30 minutes long. And to make sure that you guys are actually going to learn what you need to learn, take out your notepads. I have mine. Okay, I'm not just talking. Take out your pen. Okay, take out your pen. Write those notes. Get ready to learn, because this is going to be an amazing session, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, you do not want to miss out on these amazing tips that AfriPods is going to give us today. So just a little bit of a bio about who AfriPods is, and if you don't know who they are, AfriPods is a Pan-African podcast hosting and distribution platform for the audio listener and creator who wants to hear and distribute authentic African stories. Their mission is to build the largest library of African audio stories on the planet. Like, how amazing is that mission? The largest library of African stories. That is their mission. I absolutely love that. On the AfriPods podcasting platform, creators on the continent throughout the diaspora are able to actually connect with African stories, and they have the option to monetize and build their audience as well on their platforms. So make sure that you join the AfriPod mission. They understand the importance of community, and today they are here to help us learn more on how to edit our podcast, how to understand the importance of creating authentic stories, and how to choose your podcast host and what stats matter in the monetizing process of your work. So make sure you're ready. Make sure you got your notepad. Make sure you got everything you need to learn today. And we're going to get into our first session with AfriPod. I hope you guys are ready. I don't know if Kevin is there from AfriPod in the background, ready to join us and ready to jump on board to start this session. Let's go. I am super excited. Like, my notepad is here. I'm ready. I am in it. Once again, make sure that you're making use of the comment section. Hey, Kevin. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. I love what you guys are doing over there by AfriPod.
No, my absolute pleasure. I am here.
Amazing.
I am trying to log into my tab. And I think, can you see me? Hello? Uh-oh. Lost you on audio. Hello? Can you hear her? But I can't hear her. I think she's out. Fam, I have no volume. You can hear me? Oh, well, can you see my slides as well? Okay, sorry. I can't hear myself. So I guess that's the part that's a bit interesting. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. I apologize because I cannot hear you and cannot hear myself. So that gets interesting. So I will be talking to myself. Today is we're going to talk about monetization and how to choose your host. My name is Kevin Y. Brown. I am with AfriPods. And of course, our goal is to build the largest library of African stories on the planet. And we love to amplify African stories. That being said, I'm the Chief Content Officer and Head of Strategy at AfriPods. Instagram and Twitter is at AfriPods. And then my personal Instagram and Twitter is Kevin Y. Brown. I am also a podcaster and podcast producer. I've been a producer for about 5 years, going on 6. And I run a company called Podcast Laundry. We've produced almost 800 podcast episodes, over 15 million downloads for our users and clients. And I also have a podcast, which is called the Create Your Life series, where I've personally recorded over 186 episodes. I've released ebooks, which we'll talk about in ways of monetizing. I've interviewed NFL, NBA superstars, Beyonce's dad, done special series. I was also on radio in New York City. And my show is now actually syndicated on SiriusXM, which is nationwide in the United States. And I am now based out of Nairobi. So getting into the session, how to choose your podcast host and which stats matter in monetizing your work. Let's jump right into it. That being said, this is about us. Belia already spoke on us, but we are a Pan-African podcast hosting and distribution platform for the African audio listener and creator. And we want to distribute and for our listeners to hear authentic African stories told by the people themselves. We actually offer free hosting right now. So as the young lady was talking about the Naija Hub, we want you to know that we would love to be, your exclusive podcast hosting partner. For any of the communities out there, we would love to be able to be the home for you as we offer free hosting and a bunch of other resources. And so kind of jumping in, the statistics that really matter when it comes to monetizing your podcast. Number one, you have your total number of subscribers for the month. And what you want to do is you also want to analyze, your growth from month to month, year to year. And this helps with the projection. So as you're selling your content or selling the listeners, the ears and eyes that will come onto your show, you can say, hey, you know what, this month in January, we grew by, 200 from December. And, in December, we had grown by another 200 from November. And then the same thing, another 200 from October. So you're growing consistently. Now, if you see a spike in your growth, then you start seeing it on a consistent basis, then that also helps you with being able to project. And then also the great thing about being able to project your numbers means that you can also project your income, right? So you can charge more. So if somebody's paying you, I can get very, very technical in terms of CPM and things like that, but just know that you can really get a lot. You can get paid a lot more for your content depending on how you how you're able to project and what your numbers are in the community that you're building around your show. I mean, we all know at this point that podcasting is always about the listener and never about us as the host, right? So the second thing is the number of downloads, including all-time downloads. So that really helps because sometimes you can go in, especially if you're doing dynamic ads, you can go in and change out the dynamic ads that people have paid for once you hit that amount of impressions. One of the other things is, to understand is like how many downloads have you got in the last 7 days, the last 14 days, things like that. Those all help with your projections and, being able to go in and actually sell. And so another stat that I think is really important is the listen through rate. So if people are, stopping listening to your show at the 25%, mark, then that's completely different. And this is just something for you to know because it's very important to understand your user behavior and your listener behavior, because that helps you to be able to know whether or not your show is effective, where your call to action should be, and when your premier time to put in advertisements are, right? If people are stopping at 75% through, then you know that a mid-roll and a pre-roll are probably your best bet, which means that you can sell 2 ads per episode versus 3. And that's, that goes into a whole lot of other things, right? Like the average time that a person stops listening to a podcast is around the 22-minute mark. So I usually suggest for my production clients to do a show that, really tops off at around the 30-minute mark. But you have some longer format shows that are really big winners. But a lot of times those are outliers. And when you're getting out, you want to make sure that you can put yourself in a position where you have a proper workload that you can manage and that you can handle. I think another thing is your top 5 episodes and their download numbers. That's probably what you're going to put on your rate card when you start sending it out and start going after advertisers. And then the geographic locations of your listens, that really matters, because if you have some people who are looking at targeting specific places or specific communities and things like that, then that's going to be really, really important for you to be able to give to your sponsors. And then the top devices used for download. So are people listening on the web? Are they using Chrome? Are they using Firefox? Are they using iOS? Are they using Android? All of those small details matter, because now you can really talk to your advertiser and say, hey, I have this specific data. I understand my user. This is, you want to target, you need more people to use your coupon code or your services on mobile. Well, I have 10,000 people who are using Android to download each month, and they trust me, they listen to me. So this is why, you should be vying with me and why you should be spending money with me and my podcast. And then the other thing that you want to understand is what are the top apps used to listen to your show? Really, really, really important. Again, tracking that behavior, understanding your guests. And I think one of the things that I didn't put in here, but this is more so about content, is in your show, you should always try to ask for audience feedback, right? So your CTAs, like one of the things that I love to put inside of my shows for my clients in the outro is I say, please email your questions, comments, and compliments to blank email address at Gmail, right? And so that helps for people to then be able to start to create a feedback loop with you and for you to build community. Or you could change the CTA and say, hey, why don't you, send us a DM on Instagram, send us a DM on Twitter, tweet with us and things like that. And so join those conversations in order for you to understand your user behavior. So a large part of monetizing, you have the statistics and things like that, but you really need to engage with your audience also so that you can understand what it is that they want and the things that they're interested in. So I highly, highly recommend that. Second thing, this I had to do. I know it wasn't supposed to be a part of the presentation, but I know as a creator, it's so important for us to be able to monetize our genius, is what I like to call it. So 13 different ways to monetize your podcast. Number 1, create a course. And that could be, even a course on podcasting. Like I've created a course about podcasting, which, people I've taken and have done and is tried and true. Of course, having the amount of experience in launching as many shows as I have. But, you can create courses about different things that I think could really help. One-on-one coaching. So like my show, the Create Your Life series, we cover entrepreneurship, personal development, and travel. And so I've actually coached people on entrepreneurship and personal development as a result of my show. Sponsorship, it speaks for itself. Digital products. So if you saw, I interviewed Beyonce's dad, and then I created an ebook from that interview. And what I did with that ebook was I used it as a lead magnet to get more people to come into my sales funnel for other services, right? And so I think that that's something that you really want to be aware of, is that, depending on how you take notes for your show, that's one of the things that, my production company does, is we take really detailed show notes for our clients. And so by the time our client gets to about 50 episodes, they've got enough content for an ebook. All they need to do is figure out the format and take the content from the notes that have already been being created. And then you can sell that, for $5, $10, or anything like that. Again, selling products. So you have your digital products, but you can also sell physical products, right? Like, planners and things like that, swag. And then services. You can also sell services. Like, prime example, if you listen to an episode of the Create Your Life series, then you will hear about Podcast Laundry, podcast production company. And so we're selling services and using our podcast as a lead magnet in that way. Then you have affiliate marketing, which is an opportunity for you to sell other products and things like that for someone else and receive a commission. You have the opportunity to sell premium content, which I think is super important, and it's something that has become increasingly more accessible in these last probably like 3 years. It became a really big thing, because at first, charging anybody anything in podcasting was kind of very taboo. So now, you can give people the regular episode, but then you have the behind the scenes, or you have, special community access and things like that as a result. And that would be your premium content. And so you sell that. Then you have crowdfunding and donations, which you see a lot of with Patreon and, PayPal links and different things like that, which is really good and actually works very well. And then you also have the opportunity to sell merchandise that is associated with your brand, which is your clothing, your mugs, and things like that, which I think is really good. Then you have an email list. Now, one of the biggest things that I would really, really like to say is, like, having, 15,000 Instagram followers for your show is good. But if you have 15,000 people on your email list, then you have 15,000 people to consistently sell to, while you also, of course, add value to them. So it's different, because if Instagram or if Twitter shuts down for, let's say, a week, then you just lost all of your followers, but that email list you'll have forever. And so, you want to manage your click-through rate, your listen-through rate, and things like that. But it's very, very important for you to build an email list. And so that's why I said in the call to action at the end of a show, you want to go through you want to have that call to action. Please email your questions, suggestions, and compliments to blank email address. It'll really, really help you. And I mean, all you need is really 100 true fans. And that's just a fact. You have 100 true fans. You can, imagine you were selling $15 products to them a month, or you had them in a membership group. Oh, wow, I'm sorry, I didn't add membership group in here. So let's say you had a membership group and you had 100 people and you were selling something to them at $15 a piece, or their membership was $15 a month. It's affordable, depending on where you are. Even if it was $5 a month, that's still $500. So you got a range of $500 to $1,500 just there off of 100 people. And honestly, the thing is that podcasting is a grind. So it starts with one person, and then you building up. And so, like, I had to grind and work hard on my show for 2 years before I got it syndicated nationally in the United States. And so that's a part of the game too, is podcasting is a long game, but it can be very, very beneficial, I would say, to what your goals are and your true north. You just need to be patient, consistent, and excited about the journey, I would say. And then number 13, events. You can do live events. You can do meetups. I used to do a goal crushing workshop, where I would charge people. And so they would find out about it through my podcast. You come to the event, you can attend virtually or in person. I help you out with your goals for the year. And then from there, you can join the membership group. And I think I was charging $75 a month or something like that. And then you can literally, or was it $100 a month? Something, I forget. It was a while ago, but you can literally, look at that funnel. You go from the podcast to the event, then on to the membership group. And so, you're getting paid in every aspect of that. And you're literally building up, and you're building a community around whatever the theme of your show is. And like I said, one of my big themes for my show, or two of my big themes, is personal development and entrepreneurship. So your goals help you to get towards both of those things, which I think is super, super important. All right, so let me jump off of this one and get on to the next thing that we are supposed to talk to you about. Choosing your podcast host. What is important? What is not important? These are the things that I think are the most important when choosing your podcast host. Number one, IP ownership. That means that make sure that your host allows you to own your own content. There were some hosts prior that essentially got in trouble with the podcast community. This is earlier on because they were essentially owning the RSS feeds and owning the content of the creators, which is not right. And I just want to shamelessly plug that is not the case at AfriPods. You own your content and you are the creator. You are the master of your fate, and you're the master of your fate with AfriPods. Okay, and then number two, you want to make sure that there's an easy setup process, right? Master your fate, captain of your soul. That's what I was going to say. But it's an easy setup process that really, really matters. And then you want to understand your storage limits and your bandwidth, right? Like storage limits means there's some podcast hosts that say, hey, you know what? For X amount of money, you can get 250 megabytes per month. You can upload for this amount of money, right? And so what that means is that 250 megabytes, if you divide that by 4, that puts you, means that your files need to be a certain size. So if you record an episode and they happen to go over, now you're worried about how am I going to make this fit? Then you have to try to compress it and figure out all these other tricks and things like that you need to do. So you want to be very cautious of how long you plan to record, how big a file size can be, and what the storage limits are for a host. You also want to be understanding of your bandwidth limits. And the reason why the bandwidth is important is because with bandwidth limits, that means that can limit how many people can actually access your show at one time, and also how much content you can upload overall, right? Like let's say, episodes, 1 through 50 are available, but because you exceed your bandwidth limits, then maybe only the last 30 episodes, might be available. So you want to be aware of all of those things. And I also want to say that at AfriPods, we don't have any storage. Our bandwidth limits and hosting is free. So analytics reports are super, super important. Again, as you saw when we were talking about monetization, you want to be able to make sure that that you can get the right analytics that your particular sponsors are looking for. And so being able to access your stats, seeing your stats are super, super, super important. Next thing is ease of use. Again, I have to, it might be one thing to easily set up a podcast. It's another thing to be able to use it easily. And that's really, really important. You want to be able to navigate your dashboard very easily. And for that, I definitely would like to demo the AfriPods dashboard for you and help you to see how easy it is to navigate AfriPods. And then number 7 is support. You want to be able to reach out to somebody on a particular team at your podcast host if anything ever goes awry, and be able to reach out, touch somebody, and actually get some get some feedback and get some solutions, right? And so, prime example, as a producer and running a production company, sometimes the technology for different platforms doesn't work, right? And so it might appear on all platforms, but your show might appear on a client show might appear on all platforms, but not appear on Apple. And this literally happens on Spotify. And so we might need to shoot over a message, or we'll try to troubleshoot it ourselves internally. We might need to shoot over a message. And they're usually pretty good about, getting back to us. I will definitely, admit that. But that really, really matters, because you don't want to end up in a situation where, let's say you have a deadline to promote an event for a sponsor and your show doesn't go up and it's like last minute. That is not going to be a good thing. And so you want to make sure that you have that support on hand. And speaking of support, Gathoni is our right hand when it comes to community and podcaster support. So she's always available and always on standby to support our podcast. So I think one of the other things that's really important is understanding pricing. You have some podcast hosts who are free and then allow you to upload a certain amount of gigabytes per podcast. And you have some who charge by the megabyte. And then you have some who charge like a monthly, who charge by the megabyte, and some who just charge by the month with unlimited. And so those are things that you really want to understand. And as a creator, possibly just get starting out and things like that, you really want to understand what your budget is, what your budget can be, and how far you're willing to go on this podcasting journey. So I think that that's a really, really important aspect of choosing your podcast host. And then the other thing is monetization capabilities. When we talk about monetization, everybody wants to get paid. And unfortunately, right now, we haven't been able to, or not we, right now, the industry has not put a concentration on the African creator here in order to get them paid through, dynamic ad insertion, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's one of the things that we're actively working on at AfriPods right now, is cracking that code to make sure that creators get paid. Our CEO, Molly, is always saying, I want to make sure that African creators take up as much space as possible and get paid for their genius. And that's something that us as a unit, as a team, that we're very, very, very committed to, and that we're going to make sure that we strive to do. So like I said, this is what AfriPods, this is what AfriPods is about. But these are 9 things that you definitely need to take into consideration when considering a host. And now I would like to demo for you the AfriPods statistics dashboard and how to create content with us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to pull it up, and then I'm going to share with you. I'm going to show you. So please bear with me while I switch. Okay, I'm back, y'all. And so what I would like to share, just making sure, can y'all see me? Okay, cool. Somebody said we can see you. Cool. Thank you. Now we can hear you. Okay. Okay, so let me make this big. All right, so once you log into AfriPods and you are inside of our dashboard, what you have the opportunity to do is you have, podcasts created so far, which is 1, episodes created so far, which is 73. You have the opportunity to see, how many downloads you've had in the last day, the last 7 days, the last 30 days, and the total so far. And then you also have the downloads over the last 14 days. You can see the statistics, whether it's went up or whether it's went down. And then you can also zoom in to see how your podcast is behaving, or is performing rather. And so you can just zoom in. These are the capabilities that we have. And then you can scroll down even more. You can see the last 5 episodes and the downloads. And that completes kind of like your dashboard. And then when we go to statistics, as I was telling you, the statistics page is a bit more in depth. And so when we go to statistics, that's hilarious. Things get a lot more in depth in regards to your podcast. So you have the download history of a particular podcast. Again, you have, the 0, the last day, the last 7 days, last 30 days, all-time downloads. Then you can select the time period, right? Where you can pick, I want to see the shows from a month ago, or, from last week or something like that. And then you go in and you can even have the opportunity to pick the individual episode that you would like to see the statistics on. Right now, we're going to keep it in an overall view, so just so that everything stays populated. Then you can look at the downloads, how many new followers you've gained, what's been happening for the last 2 weeks, and of course, how many episode likes you have overall. Then again, here, you can kind of zoom in and get very granular in regards to time frames and things like that. And so you can really go in and see your points of where people are downloading, how they're downloading, et cetera, et cetera. And this is also an exportable report. So one of the things that you're going to really need to do when you're trying to get monetization and sponsorship is you're going to really need to be able to show, an authentic report or screenshots. But of course, you can export it here of your actual statistics so that people know that you're not photoshopping things and that you're actually providing the right amount of, or basically providing what it is that you said you can do. And then you have top downloaded episodes, right? So these are the top 10 downloaded episodes for this particular pod. And as you can see, 21,000, 6,000, like this show does a really, really great job. And then here you have your geographical distribution of downloads. And again, this is why I think everybody, in Africa should be hosted on AfriPods, because we are Africa first. And you can see that as you see Africa right here, first in line before Asia, Europe, Oceania, everybody. Africa is here, and this is where we're focused on. This is who we are dedicated to. So here you can see 68% of the downloads come from Africa, Kenya specifically, Uganda. You have some in South Africa, right? And then you go to Asia, you can see that the United Arab Emirates is big. 1% is coming from Asia, 641 downloads total. So you have the total number of downloads plus percentage. And then you have Europe, you have Oceania, which is Australia, New Zealand, Kiwi Land, Fiji. And then you have other locations like the United States, Canada, and Brazil, right? And then you have your world overview, which says, hey, worldwide, you're doing 38,000, 100%, but where are they primarily located at? And you get it by country. So I think this is really, really important. And as a seasoned podcaster and someone who's sold advertising and things like that for podcasts, I can honestly tell you that this report will do you a lot of justice when it comes to trying to working to monetize and essentially getting paid for your genius, which is what it's all about. Then you have your source of distribution of downloads, which I mentioned earlier in the presentation. So this is really important because people are going to want to know, where are you being downloaded at? What are you doing? And how can I make the best return on my investment as I want to invest in you and your show and your genius, right? So you have, whether it's coming from external players, web, Android, web, desktop, web, iOS, AfriPod's Android app, web, other. So one of the beautiful things that I have to say about working with us and being a part of the AfriPod's, what I would call community and family, is, if you see something that you feel like we can improve, we're literally an email away. Like we have this motto here in the office: is correction is direction, feedback is love. So we welcome people to give us feedback and to offer their insights on what they think may work and may improve. So the fact that we're open to that means that you can always send us a DM or, an email and have a real conversation with us about, hey, you know what? I love what you talked about in the Discovery Tour presentation. What do you think about adding this to, to that? And like I'm myself and Adam, who's another gentleman on our team, we oversee the tech. So we are here to essentially get you to where to get the tech as best as possible for the African user, because again, we're Africa first. And so your opinions matter, your feedback matters, and we want it as much as possible. So please hit us up. One of the other features that our desktop offers is downloads by time of day. And what that means is like, this allows you to really, really be able to narrow down and track the behavior of your users. And so you can say, hey, Monday at 12 a.m., this particular pod got 16 downloads. But if you see where the hotspot is on a Monday, I'm seeing downloads 9 a.m. is where, they consistently score high numbers. But their real hotspots are on Thursdays from 5 p.m. all the way up until midnight into Friday. So Thursday into Friday. So the real question would be, are they releasing on Thursdays at 5 p.m.? And then it's carrying over like that, or is Thursday just a hot day for them? So I want to also say, I want to stop presenting to y'all and say, please type in all of your questions inside of the chat. I'll be happy to answer them once I finish. I only have a couple more things to go through on here, but please start asking, typing up your questions. I would love to answer them about the platform. And then the next thing is daily listeners. I gotta reshare.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So the next thing is daily listeners, which is really huge. You want to understand who your listeners are, and you want to be able to zoom in. Here, this is something that you can do here, and you can see, how many people, how many listeners you're getting every single day. And so once you start to understand that behavior, and this is literally just scrolling in and out on your keypad, but once you start to understand that, then you really mix your daily listener numbers along with the times, and you have a really successful formula for understanding your user, and then also being able to go out to advertisers and say, hey, you know what, if your event is on Saturday or is on Friday evening, and I see from my statistics that if I release an episode on Thursday, Thursday into Friday, it'll be the hottest thing going. So therefore, release with me or advertise with me on a Thursday, I'll release it, that day, and into Friday, I can guarantee you X amount of impressions, and that many people will know about it, right? Or, that many people may buy tickets. So this might help them be more targeted in who it is that they're trying to reach. I think also understanding. So one of the biggest things that I ask my clients to always do is we go through an exercise where we create a listener avatar, so that my client and the podcaster is always speaking to one specific person. So when you go to somebody and you try to monetize, you can say, hey, my person is a Black female, specifically in Western Africa, Nigeria, age 25 to 30, and she has X habits. She's a college graduate, employed, single, no kids, looking to make an advancement in her career. Now, when you go to somebody with that, and then you say, hey, I can track the behavior of this person, then they have no choice to kind of take a listen and decide that, it might be smart for me to advertise with this person because they have the exact demographic that I'm looking for. Now, if you go to them and just say, hey, I know, I have a podcast and, different type of people listen to it, and they listen between these hours, you're not going to be as likely to get advertising dollars because you then don't know who your listener is or who it is that you're marketing to. So that's why it's so important for you to understand your listener, because again, your show is all about your listener. And as long as you can keep people engaged, then you can build community, and then you can also build community, and then you can also build some monetary value from your genius. And so that actually concludes me demoing the dashboard. And so, like I said, AfroPods is very easy to use. Our hosting is free. Migrating to our to our platform from another platform is literally 3 steps. So if you would like to, let's say, move from SoundCloud, move from Anchor, come over to a company that's African owned, that is African centric, then, we would be delighted to have you, and we would love to have you with us. So that being said, I'm going to stop sharing, but it seems like it. Stop sharing. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Kevin. That was amazing. Yo. Wow. You couldn't hear us, you couldn't hear the claps, you couldn't hear the snaps, but it was so informative. And personally, I have a podcast called Conversations That Bloom, and I'm definitely going to transfer it to your platform now because wow. I'm really inspired by what you guys are doing over there by AfroPod. So thank you so much for that session. And thank you for your time today. Extremely important. We're going to jump into the next session now because of time, but we are so thankful today. And please do go onto our social media platforms, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Kevin. He's very active on social media, on Twitter, Instagram. Drop all your questions on there. And yes, now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our next session. I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying myself. The vibes are vibing. The entertainment is about to come through with what we need. I know you guys are ready. I know you've been learning what you need to learn, but we're going to get into the next session, and that is a nice spoken word from Marvel. I'm going to give a brief. So obviously his name is Marvel, aka MTB, the writer. He's a native of the Edo state, and he lives in Lagos, Nigeria. Nigeria. The creative director of Blue City Inc. And from a very young age, he's been performing on prestigious stages all over Nigeria. He's won numerous awards. MTB's desire is to create a bridge between the elite and the restrictions, his beliefs and the hopes for the world. So without further ado, I'm going to allow us to jump into our next session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the spoken word from Marvel.
What's up, everybody? My name is MTB. I'm a spoken word artist, poet, video creator right here in Lagos, Nigeria, repping West Africa. You already know what it is. So I'll be doing a piece, and it is titled A Black Child. I hope you like it. All right, let's go. A black child. They said, your life cannot be more than this. If you cannot time travel back to your mother's womb, become a zygote, siphon off your father's sperm, look for another man and come back with your last name Dangote, then there is nothing for you. If the acronyms on your plaque, it's not BSC or BED like, then close your eyes, go back to your BED and sleep, dream all you want, because the only thing coming through is the failure your parents are already used to. Words alone cannot reverse this course. You need to walk down the aisle with the standards of society. Put your Martin Luther, I have a dream attitude in the casket. Come out of the grave of hope and face reality and stop waiting for a sign from heaven. When the sign you need is from the hands of a man, I repeat, stop waiting for a sign from heaven. When the sign you need is to find the opposite and hypotenuse of your mathematical problem, because the number that your bank accounts keep popping up is zero. Why does your 0, 8, 1s or 2, 4, 6 or 8 digits? I can't dig it. Hey boy, listen carefully. They said, your life cannot be more than this. If you look like you come from the hood, and shell cases only find comfort in the bodies of innocent ones. Where violence is sacred like Sabbath and people are constantly becoming burnt offerings. Where people freeze because they are tight. Where people freeze because they are choked and they have no place to go. If the slum is your home and you hope to blow, then I'm sorry, bro, you're far from the limelight. You can't even taste the feeling like coke. And I know that your body is not front cover magazine material on your pocket. Shares a similarity with that dumb fat boy from high school with his big and empty at the same time. Hey, black child, listen carefully. They said, your life cannot be more than this. If you cannot turn laptops into tools for fraud and make yourself a G, but you keep relying on a G-O-D, that thought will leave you OD'd, overdose with poverty. Your super strength will be emptiness, wretchedness will build a cape for you. Your kryptonite will be when you see others succeed, you will see that society does not give a tiny hoot about your dreams. As long as you can pull strings and blinks off your neck, nobody cares about the source of income. As long as you can see these masses as a medium to fulfill your avarice, their vote as a boat to go on a voyage to a land flowing with milk and honey. Preach peace, but give guns to street dogs to make sure your politicking is properly sticking. Hey, black child, listen carefully. They said, we, Nigerian youth, cannot be more than this. That we don't have a voice. That we will not one day rule. That we cannot make a change. The question is, do you believe? Thank you very much. Peace out.
I was just in the background snapping my fingers. I don't know about you. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. What? Every time there's a spoken word artist in every single stop that we've had, I've always been blown away. Like the talent, oh my goodness, it's too much. It's too much. Well done, well done. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate and honor your excellence, your creativity, and your ability to connect the elite and the streets. Like you say, love it. We're about it. We're for it. Awesome. Now we're going to jump into our next program, our next technical session. Get ready to learn once again. We're going to have an amazing session with the team from Podroom. The session will be facilitated by the amazing Tolu. But before that, I would love to give a brief introduction of who Podroom is and why you should be interested and you should be about it. So Podroom is a social network platform for the podcast community. They are creating a centralized digital community for the podcasting revolution. They provide podcasters like myself and yourself with the platform needed to connect with like-minded individuals, raise awareness for their self-owned media outlets, as well as create command and create avenue streams for their podcast as well. So without further ado, help me welcome Tolu, who will be facilitating this session today. He is a problem solver, a podcast addict. I was gonna say podcast artist, but he's a podcast artist addict, and an AWS solution architect. Wow, lots of words in my mouth, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. So yes, help me welcome Tolu. He'll be facilitating today's session. Tolu, if you are there, I hope you can join me on the screen. Let's get into the session. We are ready. We are doing the things today. Yes, let's get into it. Oh, before he gets on, actually, as he tries to get on, I hope you guys are making use of the chat section. I see you guys doing the things. Women prayer group, nice one with the spoken word. Yes. And I saw Rachel commenting as well. That's the most, it's going to be just amazing. So as we wait for Tolu, right? As we wait for Tolu, we're going to just go through what the Discovery Tour is about. The Discovery Tour has been happening in different stops. We're going to do a refresher now. It's been happening. It started off with Zambia. Zambia was amazing. We had different podcasters come on board sharing their experiences and what podcasting is about in Zambia. And then we went to Kenya. I think I want to say Kenya. Yes, we went to Kenya. Kenya was amazing as well. And we had Simmerbox come on. They were our partner there. It was so amazing. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed myself. And then we had South Africa. South Africa hosted with the Journey podcast and the people. That one was live, a hybrid between live and virtual, one of the first we've ever done. It was super, super fun. And then today is our last stop with Nigeria. You guys are here joining us, and it's been such an amazing time. What has been one of the highlights that you've had if you've been joining us since the beginning of this Discovery Tour? Drop it in the comment section. Have you been joining since the beginning? What country are you here from? I saw some Kenyan flags, some Nigerian flags. I would love to see those flags in the comments dropping, as well as on our Twitter platform, Instagram, and Facebook. Make sure that you're tagging us and we're interacting. What is something that you have taken away from this Discovery Tour, whether you're a podcaster, a podcast enthusiast, someone that supports the podcasting community in general? What's a highlight that you've taken away from this Discovery Tour? Let us know. Discuss with us on Twitter, Instagram, on all of our socials. We would love to know your feedback. And because we are still waiting for Tolu, who's still not here, I'm going to continue discussing the vibes with you guys because, I just enjoy discussing the vibes with you guys. What has been a highlight for me? I want to know, I want to discuss. For me, the highlight was just to see the number of people that really love podcasting in general and how excited they are to speak on their truth and to speak in authenticity. So many podcasters have really decided to step aside from what other people have been doing on YouTube and how everything has been running on there. And the power of audio has really been evident in everything that has been running through with the Discovery Tour. And it's super exciting to see that people like yourself and myself are jumping on board and learning all of these amazing things that we do need to learn as we continue the tour. So yes, I see Mel. I got the pink on my nails. So yes, that's really been a highlight for me, seeing all of the amazing podcasters come on board and just share their authentic stories, learning how I can monetize my own personal podcast, as well as connecting with other podcasters from different countries in the world. It's been super, super fun and super exciting. And there's a comment here that all African stories matter. Yes, 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 yes. Every single African story matters. It doesn't matter how small, how little, what industry, what space, where you're at, it does not matter. All African stories matter. So we are going to have to jump. Oh, great. Yay. Tolu is here. Dun, 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 dun. Tolu is here. As I was giving you guys some entertainment and letting you guys know about why it's important for us to champion African podcasting. Yes, so Tolu is here. Please help me introduce him on stage. He'll be facilitating our session from Podroom. Hello. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm
How are you?
amazing. How are you? I'm amazing.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for
So
the
I'm going to give
opportunity.
you the stage.
Great.
Jump on. Get into it. We are all ears.
Okay. Let me share my screen. 1 second. Share. Yes. I hope you guys can see my screen. My name is Tolu from Podrum. I would like to play a quick video for you guys. I hope you guys can see my screen. Um, okay. About Podroom, we already spoke about this a little bit. We are a social networking platform for the podcast community. We believe that social network and podcasting, they are the sides of the same coin, and we are very much into this aspect on Podroom. We believe that podcasters and podcast listeners have the opportunity to become one, to relate on content, to share interesting ideas on our platform. So, my name is Tolu again. I'm a podcast enthusiast. I'm an AWS cloud engineer, and I love solving problems. I love building great products. How do we stand out in Podroom? Number one is our podcast content. We believe in Podroom that once you can create the best podcast content, you will definitely attract people to listen from all walks of life. Our community, we strongly believe in community because we feel like if a podcaster and their listeners have interactions, magic can happen. On Podroom, podcasters get feedbacks for their podcast content so that they can create better content. We also have videos with our podcast application. Our podcast application has the functionality to play video snippets so that listeners can see 40-second snippets, 30-second snippets of the entire 1 hour podcast and decide if they would venture to listen or not. Um, we also stand out through our monetization feature. In Africa, we are the first to insert um, donations into our applications, and so many Nigerians have been enjoying this feature. I would also talk about some other monetization features later on. Be seen. How does Podroom help podcasters to be seen? Number one is the discovery. We have a page on our application that is the discovery page. We believe that not everybody is going to be the Joe Rogans, not everybody is going to be on the front page of every podcast application. So we are giving outlets to indie podcasters, to new podcasters to share their podcast content through video and then post it on our podcast application. We are the only podcast application that allows this video and audio enhancement on the platform. The second aspect of it is the video podcast. We publish and host video podcasts, and I would also talk about some of the things that we are building around this video podcast, which includes ads insertion and so on and so forth. So on Podroom, one of our basic feature is that we allow podcasters to be seen and to be heard. Why being heard? Um, Gone are the days where people log on to radio and the radio presenter talks for hours. Can you see my screen at all? Oh, okay. Just give me 1 second. Let me see how to share my screen here. Can you see my screen now? Am I sharing my screen? Can I? Oh, try. Oh, I don't know what else to do. Let me see. Okay. It's unfortunate.
Hey,
We would have to continue.
hey, it's okay. Listen, it's okay. Don't worry about your screen. It's okay. We sometimes technical issues happen, but your presentation is going pretty well, so you can
Okay.
continue. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah. No problem.
So we allow the podcast communities to be heard, to give their feedbacks. It's important that you get feedbacks. So we created a chat room where podcasters and their listeners can interact, can engage. Let me tell you a quick story that happened during the pandemic, very close to September 2020. A guy was going through serious depression, and then he came on Podroom and searched out a depression podcast. And he typed that he was going through depression and he was going to end it. So when I saw that back end, I reached out to the owner of the podcast on Twitter to say, look at the comments that we have on your podcast. Can you please, as a depression therapist, can you please help in this situation? And we were fortunate. She was lucky to jump on board, and they had, a meeting. They talked about what's going on. And 2 days later, the podcasters came back to us to tell us that we might have created an application that saved their life. And this is because someone out there recognized the fact that you can intuitively make comments, you can intuitively ask questions. And during the pandemic, this is one of the things that kept us going. This is one of the stories that made us feel like we have not been wasting our time, building this application, especially for Africa. Our monetization, like I mentioned, donations, and we are building our ad insertion server currently, where podcasters can go insert ads in the beginning and the end of your podcast and publish it and share it, and then in turn sharing the ad revenue. Our business model is, premium for podcasters, ad insertion, and also podcast donations. We have launched our application for over a year now, and we're in the process of building a version 2 that is going to include every aspect of podcasting. People will be able to create snippets right on the application. People will be able to create their podcast right on the application, and also be able to insert ads. We have already gotten in touch with some companies that are ready to publish their video ads on the application, so that African podcasters can in turn make money and can also, invest in themselves, invest in stories, invest in content, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm sorry about the technical difficulty. Um, for some reason, I can't share on StreamYard with my laptop. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tolu. I know the technical difficulties were too much, but thank you for that information. It was really amazing. And thank you for your time. We really are grateful that you carved out the space and the energy to give us this amazing session. And people are interacting on Twitter. So if anybody would like to continue interacting with Tolu, please do so on social media. We're gonna continue with our program today. Thank you so much, Tolu. You are amazing. Yes, 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 yes. Amazing, amazing. Once again, make sure that you're interacting on all of our socials if you'd like to continue finding out more about what Podroom is doing and how they're impacting the podcasting space. Make sure that you're following them on Instagram, Twitter, and all of that good stuff. As you can see at the bottom of the banners, check out the hashtags, interact with Africa Podfest, interact with all of our partners, and maybe you might find a collaborative partner or two. You might be able to monetize your podcast today as well. So make sure that you're doing the most, interacting and checking out our socials. And comment where you're watching in from in this chat. Again, I would love to know where you're coming in from. Today has been amazing so far. Let's jump into our next session. We're going to get into another spoken word performance for you guys. It's been an amazing day so far. Everybody has been bringing their A game. The vibes have been vibing. The things have been doing what they need to do. Our next spoken word session comes from the amazing Dio. Dio is the host of the future. This is the future podcast. Let me back it up. Let me not ruin someone's podcast. I might say it the wrong way. So let me slow down, back it up, and say it the right way. Awesome. So the spoken word artist is Dio. Dio is the host of This is the Future, a podcast that talks about Africa, as well as giving aspiring Africans a platform to tell their story. As we said before, all African stories matter. He's also a teacher and spoken word poet. And without further ado, we're going to get into his session. Before we get into his session, let me introduce the other artists. You know, we got your vibes. You know what we're doing today. It's just about niceness and enjoying the aesthetics as well as learning. So after Daya, we're going to get a musical performance from Joyce. Joyce is amazing. She is an amazing artist she's a singer and a songwriter who has got a couple of years in the music space. She's been able to capture an amazing sound with her discerning ears. She's got amazing and lush lyrics. I just love the fact that she used the word lush. Lush is one of my favorite words. So yeah, growing up, she's been open to unique vibrations. Her style has been greatly influenced by listening to eclectic sounds of the Greco-Nuns chants, the Arabic music, Motown, and many more Nigerian and African genres. She's got a huge focus and thorough interaction with hip hop and country music, as well as improving her songwriting skills. So those are the two amazing artists we're going to get into. So make sure that you are listening, enjoying the vibe. But first and foremost, we're going to start with the spoken word artist by Dio. So without further ado, let's jump into that spoken word artist. Yes.
I learned that in some climes, how was your night is a crime. The way the same words, the same statements said by two people from two different places can mean two different things. There's a difference between take your time and take your time depending on the color of the skin of the sayer. One is a treat, the other is a threat. How do I explain to a blonde man that in some nations moonlight is more than illumination in the sky? That instead, it's a silent call for attention. To an African boy from a certain generation, a tortoise is not a tortoise creepy creature, a mass of rock with some stretch of skin that looks like an afterthought. A tortoise is not a tortoise. What they see as tortoise to us is memories. Memories of the cracked voice of our grandma, pure oratory, beautiful poetry, the way she drags her words and dramatizes with her hands, the way She drags her wares from cliff to climax, but before it bursts, the way she bursts into songs. The beat, tap of the feet, call and repeat in that moment. You can just feel the stars staring jealous, the tortoise swelling with pride. For in that moment, it's not a creepy creature. It's clever, slow but intelligent, cunning in a good way, mischievous. You just need to see the twinkle in the eyes of the kids who sat listening in silence, and I bet you would bet that somewhere deep down they wish they were half human, half tortoise. Have you ever heard of the parable of the blind man and the elephant? Every day you see blind men and women on YouTube. They've been schooled all their lives that Africa is a jungle. Set them loose with a camera and see them fall over each other. They book a ticket jungle session for monkeys and bananas, the pool of gorillas and prints of elephants. They surmount hills and mountains, part dead, scramble into caves, looking for dead bones, bust and beast, trinket tusks, and topless tribes. Have you ever heard of the parable of the blind man and the elephants? Every day you see blind men and women on cable. They've been schooled all their lives that Africa is Nazareth. And as Nicodemuses, they look down from far, see, and all they see is Jerusalem. I see them blink the way their eyes skip the beautiful gates and rich history. I see them drool, tapping on the buttons on their drones. It's the way they zoom in, not on the glitters on the gates, nor the beautiful rocks that make the pillars solid. They zoom in on a patch. It's a pool named Bethesda, having 5 porches. It's west, it's east, north, it's central, southern. It's a symbol of Africa. The air is punched with the stench of sweat mixed with filth and blood from flesh cuts. To the left is a lame man leading his blind wife who is weeping because she lost her deaf daughter the day before. It's the way they zoom in, not on the glitters on the gates, nor the beautiful rocks that make the pillars solid. They zoom in on a continent paralyzed. There is war, fist fight, is the survivor of the fitless, sickness, unemployment, blackouts. Curtain falls. Curtain rise, for the way we have 2 sides of a coin is the same way we have 2 sides of a story. How can we forget in a hurry that somewhere on the streets of Germany in 1884, a raped continent was ripped into parts, placed on platters to be shared amongst our rapists? Is it not an irony that today the grandchildren of the rapists is the one using a searchlight to find the secret places of the raped? I now know what my forefathers meant when they said, a mango tree cannot bear oranges. It's the way they zoom in on the fields and blood from flesh cuts. On a continent paralyzed, there is war, fist fights. Is the survivor of the fitless, sickness, unemployment, and blackout. But there is more. The resilience of a people, dogged, happy, ingenious, genius builders. There is culture, there is hope, dreams, aspirations. And only a man trained to mine diamonds can know the worth of a mineral covered in mud. Nay, if only we could give the minerals microphones, how sweet would it be to hear them sing, "We are diamonds." And when they fail to give minerals microphones, diamonds would always sparkle. We are diamonds.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So we are just having a slight technical issue at the moment. We're gonna allow Joyce to just figure. We're in Africa. Do you know what I'm saying? Just second. Let's just remember that Africa. Sometimes the African connection humbles us. Yeah. So we just need to make sure that we need to make sure that we respect the network of the continent that we're in, and pray that the network gods can just balance things out. And yeah, Joyce will join us in a second, and hopefully everything will be back to normal. So yes, the network was just bothering her for a second. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know what you guys have been enjoying about the session. Drop in the comments below. What has been your favorite takeaway so far? What have you guys learned from the two different podcast sessions that we've had with Podroom, and obviously that spoken word about we are diamonds? Sorry, I just see this comment again. Africa Podfest. We are Wow. That was amazing. Like, wow, I was blown away. And every single time when there's a spoken word artist that comes on board, like I said before, Marvo did the thing with connecting the street and the lead. And then Dio came to remind us that we are diamonds. We are diamonds. Never forget it. I just love it. I love that spoken word artists always dig deep into their hearts, and it always connects with every single person, no matter which country you're from. As long as you're on the African continent, you will definitely be able to connect with that. So because of the network issues that Joyce is having, and to maintain time and to honor each other's time, we would jump into the roundtable discussion. And once Joyce's network balances out, we will be able to have her back on board. So as we do that, as we get into the roundtable discussion, I would love for us to just get comfortable, get your questions ready, get your ears ready, get ready to listen to these amazing Nigerian podcasters that are going to just speak their heart on how podcasts in Nigeria specifically are smashing the single story. How are they smashing the single story? How are they shattering the single story? How are the Nigerian podcasters making sure that they're allowing all types of voices to be heard? So that's what the topic will be on today. That's what the roundtable discussion will be on today. Rihanna was obviously singing about us. Oh, Rachel. Oh, Shasi, I know, right? She was definitely thinking about us. But anyway, since Rachel made that comment, Rachel will actually be facilitating our roundtable discussion today. And she's part of the team at Naija Podhub. She's amazing. She's the content strategist, and she's in charge of the newsletters as well. So that's what the roundtable discussion will be about. And just to jump into that, the roundtable discussion will have various podcasters that will be speaking from their hearts and discussing and telling their feedback on various questions. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the podcasters. We're going to have Rodney. He's going to be part of the podcast roundtable. His podcast is called the Young God Podcast. And then we're going to have Dr. Ramat, and we will have Busayo, who will be representing Lopfi Media. And then from there, we're also going to have Dre. He's representing the Backyard Band podcast. And we're going to have Tony from Tony Doe Media, and the Young Love podcast, which is going to be presented by Kezia. So that is our team of roundtable humans. And they will be here today doing the most with the roundtable discussion. So I'm going to invite Rachel and Faye as well. Actually, she's also going to be on board. Hey, Rachel.
Hiya, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Hopefully our African internet does not disgrace me today.
You can say that again. I am loving your pink hair. Let's just talk about this pink hair. What are you saying about this pink? I love it. I'm inspired.
You. You
oh girl. I'm loving it. I'm so inspired. I'm super excited for your facilitation today, and I'm sure you're going to do the most. You're going to bring the fire. Make sure that you just do the most. I'll be here in the background if you need me. But yes, let's get everybody else on board, and we're going to do the roundtable discussion. Awesome.
All right, amazing. Okay, so I can see Our panelists are joining us. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to allow you guys to introduce yourselves, your podcast, or your brand. I know in terms of some people listening, their brand. Oh, I think somebody's phone there. All right, let's start with you, Rodney. Rodney, can you hear me?
You should check his microphone.
Okay.
Network.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are we good?
We're good. We're good. We
So
can hear you,
what was
Rodney.
the question again, please?
All right, so quickly just introduce yourself, your podcast, or your brand, or your brand.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Rodney Omokache, and the host of the Young God podcast. It's a podcast for gods, and it's a space where I curate stories, conversations, and ideas that help people figure out how to live better, how to be better, and how to enjoy their lives. And it's eclectic like that. It's a variety show. It could be a monologue. It could be with a guest. It could be it's just an overall audio experience I'm really proud of. And thank you guys for having me.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Rodney. All right, next we have Tony Doe of Tony Doe Media.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Hello? Oh, okay, awesome. My name is Tony Doe, representing Tony Doe Media. I'm a producer, a host as well, with a background in radio, but I have two podcasts, the Tony Doe podcast and Upgunners podcast. The former, it's my conversations with people in the radio industry, and the latter is dedicated to the passionate Nigerian Arsenal fan who expresses himself in pidgin whenever his team upsets or does him proud.
All right, okay.
So that's me in a nutshell, basically.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And next up, could we have Keziah, please?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So my name is Keziah Vilawa, and I'm the host of the Young in Love podcast. The Young in Love podcast is basically for young people between the ages of 18 to 34 mostly.
Yes, we can.
But older people could also listen, of course. And the Young in Love podcast is like a platform where young people get to share their experiences or their experimentations with love, dating, sex, heartbreak, marriage, divorce, and everything in between. So I'm really happy to be here with all of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Keziah. Next up, we have Ramat.
Great. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Thank you again for hosting this wonderful, wonderful program. My name is Ramat Mohammed. I am the CEO of Triple E Media Productions, and we produce immersive content that is focused on the African story, from the Nigerian perspective. Our platform for audio programs is 234 Audio, and that's where we produce and we distribute our audio programs. Our audio programs are meant for a variety of audiences. We have weekly news analysis programs, but we also have true crime, and we have some other shows that are coming up right now. Most of our programming is scripted, and we love podcasting, and we do it for a living.
Thank you so much, Ramat. Let's have Mr. Dre up next.
Hi, Rachel. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
That's cool, man. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for having me. Shout out to Naija Podhub for putting this together, and the Africa Podfest team. So my name is Mr. Dre, and I run a podcast called Backyard Bands Podcast. It's a comedy podcast. We are based out of the country of Canada, but we are Nigerians and Moroccan. We are a comedy podcast, and we're banter and style. commentary podcast. We just provide commentary on issues that affect us as Black people, from back home as well, and in the country that we're in. So we're a fun podcast. We have conversations that speak on our experiences, and we just try to create an environment that is just welcoming and fun, and and very interesting. So yeah, but thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dre. I am loving your current setup.
Thank you.
All right, last but not least, we have Victor. Hi, Victor.
Hey, Rachel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, so my name is Victor, a member of the founding team of Lipify Media, representing the rest of the team, John, Emmanuel, Liz, who are also watching at this moment. So our podcast, Black Lenses, is focused on telling African stories, everyday African stories across different genres, from fiction to nonfiction, history, comedy, banter, trailers. So yeah, and it's completely scripted podcast. So I'm excited to be here and be part of the conversation.
Thank you so much, Victor. All right, we're going to get started. I am going to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. Sorry, did somebody want to say something? Okay, all right, we're going to start with a little bit of an icebreaker. And I need everyone to use one word to describe a Nigerian podcaster. Rodney, let's start with you. I can hear you, Rodney.
I would go with inventive.
Inventive. Okay. All right. That's a good one. That's a good one. Ramat, what about you?
Did you hear me? I said
Yeah,
inventive.
we did. Yeah.
I would go with authentic.
Authentic. All right. That's a good one as well. Mr. Dre?
I'm gonna say adventurer.
Adventurer. Ooh, I like that one. How about you, Victor?
Oh, I would say underdogs.
Underdogs. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Keziah?
One word to describe Nigerian podcast.
Yes, one word. Has to be one word.
Tenacious.
Tenacious. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony, what about you?
Resilient.
Resilient. Ah, okay. So we have tenacious, we have
resilient,
we have adventurous, we have quite a few good words. All right, and another one. So I want to know, what do you think sets your podcast apart in the space that you are in, and the space that we're in right now? Obviously, it's the Nigerian podcast community. So, Mr. Dre, especially somebody who's in the diaspora, how do you feel that your podcast sets you apart?
I think it's the idea that we sort of draw a lot of our content and a lot of things that we do. We try to bring it from the different ends of our spectrum. So one spectrum representing people back home in Africa, and one spectrum for people who are migrants or people who are immigrated here into the country. So I think what sets us apart is the fact that our podcast sort of brings those two worlds together, and that we try to make it try to balance it and make it approachable and relatable to everybody who's listening to the podcast. So I think that's the way I would say our podcast sort of just like stands apart.
Okay, all right. And we have Rafi in the comments who says she would use the word resilient as well. Diamond said he would use creative to describe the Nigerian podcaster. All right, I love it. Ramat, what do you feel sets you apart in the podcasting community?
We try to focus on creative nonfiction as our overlying theme across all of our shows. So every single piece of content we create is based on a real life story, something that has actually happened. And we try to bring back the art of scripting. I know there's a huge huge market out there for reality shows and sort of a lot of sort of on the spot discussions, but we're trying to bring back the art of scripting as well into our shows. So I would say those two things. It's scripting as well as creative nonfiction.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Keziah, how about you?
Okay, so I think there are two things that set my podcast apart. And the first one is that we're having real life conversations, raw. Let me use the word raw. Very, very raw conversations on the Young and Love podcast. And we're having discussions around topics that people think are taboos. You can't talk about this in public. You can't be seen saying these words. I'll give you a typical example. On the Your Penis Can Break episode, when I discuss penile fracture and people are like, oh, you can't just say that out there in the open. I'm like, why not? And when I tell guys that they could suffer penile fracture, they're like, God forbid, God forbid. But it's the truth, it could happen. So I think that Young Love Podcast is different in that we are bringing to the forefront discussions that people maybe know about, but they are like too righteous to talk about or too reserved to talk about. That's one thing that sets the Young Love Podcast different from other podcasts out there.
Okay, I find it interesting that you mentioned the word taboo because this was one of the questions I was going to ask. But how do you deal with or manage stories that you know are particularly taboo or uncomfortable or that they push boundaries, whether it's culturally, particularly for you, I would say culturally. How do you manage those kind of topics?
So I like to give a lot of examples. So the episode I did about side chicks, for instance, and the obliging, husband and stuff. In the African society, mostly, side chicks tend to like get all of the blame in a situation where there's an affair or something. So I did an episode on that, and instead of inviting the side chick who usually gets all of the blame, I invited a married man who described himself as repentant. So I invited a repentant sugar daddy, and he was open, on the podcast. He had that conversation with me about the things that drove him to make the choices that he made at the time and all of that. So I'll say that in discussing topics that are taboos, should not be spoken of and all of that, it's very important that you find someone. There's always that one person who's willing to share their story. So by the time people see that, okay, someone is willing to share their story, someone is willing to be that vulnerable in the public, they will know that they're not alone in the struggle. And so it would evoke, it will evoke conversations around that topic that's a taboo. And one step at a time, one episode at a time, one day at a time, we are demystifying some of these topics. So that's it for me. Just break the ice by getting someone who is willing to be vulnerable about that taboo. And that's it.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's a very interesting angle, not inviting the side chick, because that's true. I like the phrase repentant sugar daddy.
Sugar daddy. Yeah.
I feel like they should put that on a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Now, as we all know, podcasting is changing perceptions about Nigeria in particular. I love the fact that during Dayo's spoken word, he talked about the fact that, people are taught to look at Africa and see it in a certain way. So I found that really interesting. And, we have a huge audience. We have people who listen to Nigerian podcasts from all over the world. I've seen it in our WhatsApp groups where people are celebrating their milestones and they say, oh my goodness, I have people who are listening to me in the UAE. I have people who are listening in Asia. And why do you think that these people choose to listen to us? What is it about Nigerian podcasts or Nigerian content do you find is interesting to them? And I'm going to direct this one to Rodney.
First of all, I think that the advent of Nollywood and Nigerian content creation has really made it possible and made Nigerian content very, very exciting and intriguing that audiences from abroad would want to consume it, because the Nigerian experience is very unique from, before our independence to during the period of our independence to after it, and then right now, the Nigerian experience, the Nigerian context, and the fact that Nigerians just so happen to occupy almost every corner of the world. So when you have these Nigerian voices speaking about all kinds of things, whether it's just banter, whether it's very specific, whether it's general, it tends to hit the spot. It tends to capture a captive audience, and it just makes sense all the way. So if you happen to have a voice, if you happen to have Nigerian blood or even Nigerian friends, you might not even be Nigerian, but just have Nigerian friends and be able to like draw from their experiences. It really takes your content to another level. And I think that's what the Nigerian podcast space is currently enjoying right now.
All right. Okay. Ramat, I have a question for you. With the way that everybody is jumping on podcasting right now, especially in Africa, do you think that within the African or Nigerian market, there's actually an opportunity for people to make a living off of podcasting?
Not yet, so don't quit your day jobs. I think there's a potential, but I would highly recommend that you hold on to that day job. And then you use your sort of free time to develop your content, and then hopefully as the economy picks up again and people are starting to realize the potential, we can start to make ways for people to actually earn a living. For my company, we do have a team that we use, a staff of people that we hire to create our content. And I would love to keep hiring. But God knows there's so much content I'd love to keep making. But clearly the market is not there yet. But I do see the potential for it to be there. And we just have to keep pushing. I mean, the things that you guys are doing, the things that everybody here is doing, I think can help open up that market. But so yeah, don't quit your day job yet. But hang in there. I do think there's potential.
Thank you so much, Ramat. Hold on, this is my. Thank you so much, Ramat. So don't put your day on. Hopefully, we'll be able to make a living off of podcasting. Mr. Dre, I'm going to move on to you. So, on your podcast, you have people of different nationalities, which is quite interesting. But how do you feel? What problems, shall I say, do you feel that your podcast? What issues, shall I say? Let me run that back. So, what issues do you feel that your podcast addresses in the narrative of being an African, or being a Ghanaian living in Canada, or being a Nigerian, shall I say?
I think So we're Nigerians, and we have a Moroccan on our podcast as well. And I think one of the issues that one of the things that we sort of just try to like put out or sort of preach on our podcast and on our platform in general is that that we are primarily just black. We're primarily black, and we sort of speak like our experiences are very similar. And so we try to preach this unison of people, or try to create this community that fosters unison amongst Black people in our community, Africans, wherever you're from. And we try to preach that a lot in the way we do our things in our podcasting, and even with our guests, and the way we sort of plan our content in terms of that small. We try to feature guests from different backgrounds, from different parts of Africa within our community, and try to just say, hey, we don't live necessarily in our home countries anymore, but we live here, but we can come together and we can have fun and do things to uplift everyone around us. And so that's the one thing I really enjoy about being a Black podcaster in Canada, and doing things the way that we do things, and also having that sort of what's the word, that threshold where we can have fun, where we can poke out our experiences and say, oh, hey, you did this and I did this, but we did it differently, but it's still the same thing, and we can now like laugh at it and have a few jokes at it. So I think that's very interesting, and that's how we sort of tackle these issues by, again, like I said, like bringing people on that have these shared experiences and having that conversation and trying to then reach out to the different communities surrounding us and say, hey, we do this and we're here and we're going to be here for a long time. So, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Network decided to kick me out, but there's a
Who
little bit
wants
of
to
something
take
going on
over
with
for
sound.
Rachel in the meantime?
So, can you guys hear me? Hiya.
Yes, Rachel, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Network, as we know. So we're having some issues with the sound. So if you're not speaking, could you just kindly make sure that your mic is muted, and hopefully we can get that issue solved. Moving on to Tony. Tony Doe Media, I want to know, where is your head at in terms of collaborations, whether that's on a global, continental, or national scale? I think Tony's network is acting up as well.
Yes, it is.
African internet. Tony, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I can hear you now, Tony.
Okay, I missed the question. I'm sorry. I didn't get the question.
So the question was, in terms of Tony Doe Media, in your head.
Yeah.
In terms of Tony Doe Media, where is your head at the moment in terms of collaborations, whether that's internationally, globally, continental, or national?
In terms of collaborations, I won't say I've actually started collaborating yet, but there's a lot of networking going on. Shout out to the Naija Podhub community and, of course, Africa Podfest. First of all, you start from home, and then, you reach out to others abroad as well. So I'm still very much in the networking stage, especially with some international bodies. And we're looking at how we can, I'm doing my best really to try and draw attention to the great work Nigerian podcasters are doing. So what I'm doing in my own way is collating data and then showing it to them out there that, okay, we do have a community. It's not as big yet, but it's alive, it is well, and it's unique, and it's us telling our own stories. And if you're looking for authentic platforms to do that, then you should start paying attention to Nigerian podcasts. And that's what led, of course, to the surveys I've been running, so that I could sort of like have an idea of what to pitch to these networks about what the Nigerian podcasters are doing. Yeah.
I didn't even get to hear your whole
so I hope
answer, Tony.
that
I'm so
came
sorry
out.
about that. I got kicked off. All right, so Tony, another one for you. For the past 2 to 3 years, you have been collecting data on podcast listening habits in Nigeria. What would you say is your biggest discovery? Tony, did you hear my question?
I just answered one. So was there another one?
Yes, there's a follow-up question.
Okay, I didn't get that. Sorry.
All right, no problem.
Could you repeat it, please?
Don't worry about it. The internet is absolutely terrible, but we move. So I was saying that for the past 2 to 3 years, you've been collecting data on podcast listening habits in Nigeria. So what would you say is your biggest discovery?
Yes. The fact that what you have this year might not necessarily be this, or the sort of results you have this year might not necessarily be the sort of results you have next year. I'm still a bit amazed that based on the research, we seem to have more male listeners than female listeners. From what I've observed, we have more female podcasters than male podcasters, at least more active female podcasters. But it's interesting to see that. And it's been growing, in stages. I think when I started the initial survey, it took forever to get 100 people to participate. But the most recent one, I had close to 300 participants and representing a variety of interests. So it's interesting to see how the Nigerian, I think the core thing for me really is the fact that the Nigerian super listener doesn't use a podcast as a secondary medium. We've heard it said a lot of times that people listen to podcasts while doing other things. But based on what I've been able to do with the surveys, I found out that people are invested in the podcasts they listen to. So it's the core thing they do before they pay attention to anything else. So it means that they're invested in the personality, they're invested in the content, and they're very passionate about, the interesting podcasts or the podcasts that they find interesting. So for them, it's a primary listen as opposed to a secondary medium.
All right, thank you, Tony. Moving on to Ramat. With your style of podcasting, how do you go about your research and fact checking? Because that is something that seems to be lacking a lot. A lot of people prefer to do podcasts that have to do with gist or bants because it's really hard to get a hold of information in the content.
Yeah. My background is, I was brought up in the world of research. I got my PhD in neuroscience, and after that, all the jobs I've had really required quite a bit of research and fact checking. Every single job I've had, requires that as a baseline skill set. So already coming into the podcasting community, into the content creation community rather, I already had that. Like for me, that was a requirement. If our information is not right, then either we don't include it, or we tell our audience that we don't know. That's those are my two criteria. Either we know for sure, or if we don't know for sure, we make sure that the audience knows that we don't know for sure. And yeah, I recognized that when we were going into this business, that I wanted to do more of that research-driven type of content. Um, because again, I have the skill set, so I've been able to kind of set up for my team processes that we use to be able to make sure that we are constantly fact checking our work. We have certain sources that we always go to. We always make sure we confirm with at least two, if not three sources for our information. We look at the types of sources that we're using. So yeah, I mean, a lot of that is in the work that we do. We have people who are solely based on researching and helping us identify information, which we then bring into the writing of our pieces. And even as as we go from sort of looking at the research and then translating into writing, we also have to make sure that things don't get lost in that translation from original research to writing. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and that's why you can see we can't release daily podcasts. Even the one that we do every week takes a lot from us because it is a lot of reading and making sure that we have things right.
Thank you so much, Ramat. All right, Victor. A lot of us are produced by media based, is history based, and also the difficult audio materials that you use to tell these stories.
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite I didn't get the question correctly, but I think you're asking about our history shows and the stories. So yeah, I mean, first of all, the stories have to be told. Our history, our culture is a huge part of our export to the rest of the world, which is pretty much what we're about. Black Lenses, we want to create stories that billions of listeners can enjoy. African themed stories, Black themed stories. So yeah, first of all, it's important to find those stories. Of course, in Nigeria, our history is not well documented, so you have to dig deep. You have to, as much as possible, speak with people, try to get information from the right sources, and where they don't exist, we sometimes have to recreate some of this conversations we believe could have happened in telling this story. So that's why we work with lots of creatives, because we do a lot of voice acting to bring those stories to life, so that people can actually almost feel what could have been happening in those times. So yeah, that's really what we do. We work with creatives across Africa, trying to bring these stories to life. We dig deep in terms of finding the right, the research, do the research, ensure the facts are correct. And of course, when we're not clear, we put out a disclaimer saying, look, this is based on reports and what we've gotten, but we can absolutely guarantee the integrity of the information. But it's important to tell the stories because it's one of our biggest exports to the rest of the world.
So much, Victor. Keziah, and again, congratulations to you. You recently won the Pulse Influencer Award for podcasting last year. Whoop whoop! Congrats to you. And what was the experience like, and what impact did it actually have on your podcast?
Thank you very much for the congratulatory message. The impact that winning the award had on my podcast was very, very enormous because, in fact, from the time when the voting was going on, I saw that my followership on social media increased exponentially. This was before I even won the award. So I noticed that the followership increased, my listenership increased. I would have unique visitors on the website every day. And eventually, when I won the award, it was double of the growth that I had witnessed prior to the winning of the award. So what that did for me was it made me know that now, you know how they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. So it's like, if I've been doing things a certain way, now there's a standard that I have to meet. That was good for me because it made me sit up, even though now I am currently taking a break because I just feel like I have so many things to juggle at once, and the podcast there's no place for it right now in my life. It just made me understand that if I'm coming back after that break, then I must bring my best, right? But at the same time, I had to balance that expectation that I had for myself and that others had for the podcast, because for me to have won the podcast, it means even before winning, I was already doing something right, something that people already loved, something that people already enjoyed. So if I'm going to be maybe switching things up a little bit, I must make sure I don't lose the core of the podcast. I must make sure I don't lose the essence. I must make sure I don't lose the elements, those tiny details of the podcast that make people enjoy it. Again, winning the award taught me a very big lesson. And I know I have said this before during the podcast chat that we have on Clubhouse. I've said it before, and one of the lessons that I learned from that experience was that a large following does not necessarily equal a dedicated following. And that whole pulse voting period made me know that even though I'm not so much a celebrity podcaster, I had a dedicated following. So the few people that were following were committed. They would get others to listen, get others to vote. It was like a day and night thing. So it's important for any podcaster who's listening, or for anyone who wants to start a podcast. You might be very pressured. You might be extremely concerned about your numbers. Oh, I want lots of people. For me, I'll say at the beginning, you just need dedicated people. You don't so much need the numbers because that will put unnecessary pressure on you. There's definitely an audience for you. So when you start, make sure that you're attracting the right audience. And once they're dedicated, once you have their commitment, once you have their loyalty, once you have the support, then the numbers will come. They'll definitely drive the numbers up for you. So yeah, that's what I learned, and that's the impact that winning has had on the Young in Love podcast. Did Rachel get my response? Did anyone get my response?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The network gods have decided to just do what they do best with Rachel's network and just wow. Wow, wow, wow. They've really been fighting with us today. Network, wow. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been amazing. This roundtable discussion has been so, so fruitful. And I want to actually apologize for the pronunciation of Keziah's name. Please pronounce it for me again.
It's Keziah. Much in the same way you pronounce Isaiah. Keziah.
Isaiah, Keziah. Amazing, amazing. I love your name. It's so pretty and so different. We heard your feedback and it was amazing. Thank you so much. How did you even end up winning an award? What are the things that you put into place that you could actually win the award that you won?
Okay, so
I think we would all like to. Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember doing any specific thing up till the time. In fact, when I was informed that I was nominated by Paul, I was like, who nominated me? Like I forgot, or it's like I had no idea when nominations were ongoing. So it means that someone who listens to my podcast or people who listen nominated me. So I didn't know that an award of that nature was going to happen. So I can't really say that these were the exact things I did to be nominated or to win the award. But I know that from the time when I was nominated up till the time when I won the award, I became intentional about winning the award. So what I did was I leveraged the audience that I had in and out of Nigeria because our time zones are different. And so I would tell my friends, my listeners in Nigeria to make sure that they make use of their wakeful moments. So during the day, make sure you're getting the word out. Make sure you're sharing the links. Make sure you're getting people to vote, right? And then for my listeners abroad, like in the US, like with different time zones, I'll tell them, when Nigeria goes to sleep, you guys are still awake. So you carry on carry on from there. Make sure you're putting the link out, you're getting people to vote, people to listen and all of that. So that was the strategy I used. So it was like round the clock, I think people were voting for me. Nigeria is sleeping, the US is voting, US is sleeping, Nigeria is voting, just like that, like that. And then I even got frustrated at some point when they brought this second round of voting because I thought it was just the first one. And so I put all my energy. In fact, I did an episode dedicated to that first round of voting. And so when they brought the second round, I was like, God, how do I, put my link? How do I get people? I feel that people are tired already, this whole voting thing. Like, why can't they just give their word to someone? So I did not put in as much effort the first time as I did the second time. But then I was pleasantly surprised that things turned out the way they did. And for me, right, what's another thing I say, another thing I can say I did, from the time I was nominated was I started, because I had a lot of traffic to my social media pages. So I tried to put the house in order, because I'm going to be having visitors, so if you have if you have a jaga social media presence, it's likely going to turn people it will turn
Yeah.
people away, especially people who
Yeah.
are like keen on aesthetics and all of that. I'm not
Mm.
big on aesthetics, but for the sake of the podcast image and all of
Right.
that,
Exactly.
I'm definitely
You
putting
maintained it.
everything in order. And then
Nice.
I mean, there's much more I could
Okay.
say, but I don't think we
Yeah.
have
No,
so
that's
much time
that's
right now.
lovely.
So
No, it's okay. That was good. Yeah. So
yeah.
this question goes out to all of you. I'm going to start with Mr. Dre. Mr. Dre, where would you like to see your podcast in a year from now? So all of you can answer this question. Where would you like to see your podcast in a year from now?
I think based on the style of our and format of our podcast and how we've sort of done our programming and content, I think in the next year, I think I wanted to see, I guess, our podcast in more spaces in terms of like, I know how the gentleman from AfriPods was talking about being syndicated and in different radio stations. So I think for our podcast specifically, it would be nice to have our content in different spaces in different parts of the world actually, just to know how far our reach can go. So I think for us, it's just like getting more, being in more spaces that we are not in, technically, and having that sort of relationship with those organizations or networks or companies. So for us, I think that's just it for us right now.
Amazing, amazing. And then next, we're going to go to Victor. Where would you like to see your podcast from now?
Yes, so I would say contributing significantly to the new African narrative. We see that as a huge responsibility. Like I said, our stories are African themed. We want to focus on, showcasing Africa to the rest of the world, telling our stories, and we want to be right at the middle of that. We want to be able to have partnerships with our content, foreign organizations, local organizations working with us to push out our stories and start to see Africa in a new light. So, of course, thousands and thousands of listens and downloads because of that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victor. That's great. And then next, Ramat, where would you like to see your podcast a year from now?
Yeah, we've got, 3 shows that we're consistently making. So we're probably going to double that number in about a year, bringing us to a total of 6 shows that we're consistently making, and looking for a lot more partnerships with distribution marketing so that we can get our name out there some more.
Amazing, amazing. And then the Young God podcast. The Young God, I love that name. It's so cool. Where do you see your podcast a year from now? Oh, network is loading. Okay. I'll go up to Keziah. I'm now thinking of how to say your name right. Where do you see your podcast a year from now? Nice. Winning more awards, flourishing.
Well, definitely winning more awards, topping the charts or the list, but it's difficult to say right now because I'm on a break that I don't even see the end in sight yet. But off the top of my head and being blind to the current realities, I would say a year from now, I want the Young Love podcast to be a household name. So when podcast is mentioned in Nigeria, I want the first thing people think of to be, oh, there's this podcast, the Young Love podcast, and stuff like that. And I also started a YouTube channel where people can see the behind the scenes of the making of my episodes, because I would always get feedback that, Keziah, we want to see your face, we want to see the face of your guests, we want to see stuff. So I started a YouTube channel. I haven't put up any video yet because I'm not podcasting at the moment. But once I return from the break, I'm definitely doing that, because it's going to make things really interesting where you're listening to drama and then you go to YouTube and you see the actual drama happening. So for me, a year from now, it's going to be entertainment, getting the podcast to be a household name and chopping charts, And I believe that beyond partnerships and distribution, nothing beats personal referrals when you can word of mouth, when someone listens to your podcast and he's so convinced that, oh my God, this podcast is so interesting, you would love it. For me, it makes me happy as a creative. So I think that would even bring the partnership and distribution when the traffic is being driven by so many personal referrals.
Love, love, love. That's amazing. I love that. Personal referrals is where it's at. That personal touch, exquisite, exquisite. Awesome. And then the young God is your network allowing you to grace us with your presence. Where would you like to see your podcast in a year? Wow. Wow, the network. We will push through. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here. We will push through this network. Okay, so because the network is still doing what it's doing, I'm allowing Faye, I'm going to hand it over to Faye, our amazing founder and community lead for Naija Podhub. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for who you are and how much effort you put into the community. So go ahead and close us off, and yeah, all to you.
Okay, thank you, Belia, and thank you again to everyone who's taking the time to be here today. It's not easy. We can all see the struggle, especially with the internet and time of day and all of that. So to wrap it up, and again, thank you, Rachel, for handling everything so far. But to wrap it up, I would just say each podcaster go around and tell us what would be your advice to a podcaster who's starting today on how to decide the way to build their content and build their audience as well. So I'll start with Keziah.
Oh, okay. For someone who wants to start a podcast, I would say just start. There's no such thing as nothing prepares you for what you meet on the path of podcasting. So you never really know until you put one foot forward. So I would say just start. None of us started as experts, well, except maybe Tony Doe, who's already been in the industry. But many of us started out just wanting to, let our voices be heard. So just start. Now, when you start, along the way, definition comes in. So when I started initially, my target audience was just Nigerians in Nigeria. But as I began to, release more and more episodes, I figured that, wait, I have people listening from Australia who are sending in feedback, different countries. And I'm like, okay, so the young people in all of these countries can actually relate to what I'm doing. And so it gave me more definition. So I expanded, my target audience was no longer just Nigeria. So it would also influence the way I podcasted. So in previous episode, you will see me using some Niger slangs that I know people from other countries might not really understand. So because I became aware of other people enjoying what I'm doing, I became more accommodating with my language so that they could follow, what is being said. I decided to start speaking clear English, even though sometimes I like to speak Pidgin and all of that. So I would just put a mix on of everything. So if you want to start a podcast, number one, just start. Along the way, you'll definitely find definition. And I don't believe in being a master, a jack of all trades and master of none. For me, in content creation, it doesn't really make sense, because when you're everywhere, people don't know what exactly it is to expect from you. I like a situation where when people are looking for romantic and entertaining content, they know exactly where to find it. Young and Love Podcast. If people need scientific fact and information, they can go to Dr. Ramot. If people just want to listen to banter and all of that, they go to Mr. Dre. So I like specialization, right? So if you want to start a podcast, as you find definition, also find your niche, settle in. Now, when you settle in, what it does for your podcast is it attracts the right audience to you. And you really want that, because that's how your podcast grows. Not fake. Don't buy listeners, don't buy followers, don't do any of those stuff. Allow your podcast to grow organically. Don't put pressure on yourself for the numbers. Be more about a dedicated followership and a committed listener base and all of that. So I think by the time you allow yourself grow naturally, allow your growth to be organic, in 1 year, 2 years, you would see that you're blossoming. And I think that's what every podcaster wants. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Keziah. So I'll go to Mr. Dre now. What would your advice be to a new podcaster on content and how to grow their audience?
When it comes to content and just growing your audience, I think the one thing is just consistency. Again, my podcast is just turning 2 this year, but being consistent at the pace that you are at. So if you decide to do something once a month, make sure you're doing it once a month kind of thing. If you're, there has to, even if like within chaos, there's some sort of organization, and it's for you to sort of figure that out when it comes to like just, trying to grow your audience. So, being consistent is one thing, whatever your plan is. And we're allowed to take breaks as human beings, as podcasters, because sometimes we do get like, stonewalled with like creative blocks. So consistency is very, very key. And the other thing is just like, figuring out just community helps with content, in my own opinion, because that way you're able to sort of know what people want to listen to, what people want to hear, and you can either then have that direct connection with the community in terms of delivering your content, and in sort of like it's a loop of information, because while you're feeding from them, you're also feeding them with information. So for me, again, it's just consistency, because like that helps in sort of people knowing, oh, this comes out every week, this comes out once a month, and just building around that. And then the other thing, like I said, is just community, having a community, because for like us now as a Black About podcast, as myself, being the fact that I was able to find a community like Naija Podhub that allowed me to sort of know what, just get an idea of what like Nigerians are into in terms of the podcasting space and listenership and audience, and be able to tap from that and sort of bring that back to my own podcast, and be able to sort of grow that and take that into account while I'm creating content and who I'm creating content for. So again, community is very big for me now, being the fact that I've been able to sort of grow my podcast through community, and meet new people through community. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Dre. Let's have the next response from Victor.
Okay. I feel like the podcast industry in Africa, Nigeria is on the upside, so it's a good time to jump in. But a few things, you have to be clear on the goal. What are you trying to achieve with your podcast? Create a longer niche. Better if you create your content around a specific niche so people can know you for something. And then, just like the other speaker said, you have to be consistent with it, and then just focus on growth, focus on your community, build a community, keep your target audience in mind all the time. Sometimes people just want to, do whatever they want to do, but I think target audience should always come first in your creation process. So but the industry is growing, so it's a good time to jump in.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Let's have an answer from Tony Doe. Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Did you hear the question, or you want me to repeat?
Please repeat. Although I have an idea based on the answers I've heard.
Oh, okay. So the basic thing is, for someone who wants to start a podcast today, what would you advise they do when it comes to content and ways to grow their audience?
Well, from everything I've listened to, if I really said anything else, I'll just be echoing what they've already said. I was really blown away by, the submissions of others. But I'll say this. Some things have changed between when I wanted to start podcasting and how podcasting is now. And so you have to be prepared to evolve with podcasting as well. So if you're stuck in a way of thinking and saying, okay, maybe this is how I want to do my podcast, things could leave you behind. In the past, what your podcast was about seems to be the most important question. But right now, I found out that why you're starting a podcast should actually be the most important question, because your why will determine whether you're in it for the long haul or you're just dabbling and will probably fade away real soon. So if you're certain about your why, no matter what happens to you while you're podcasting, you will keep going. There will be a certain level of consistency. You will have a consistent reminder of the value you're adding to somebody's life with your content, and then you keep going. So it's important to think about your why even before you think about your what.
Okay, thank you. And finally, would have Ramat.
Great, thank you. And thank you again for all the effort in organizing this. In terms of content creation, I would say find content that allows you to be your authentic self first, something that you're passionate about, And once you find that for yourself, you will find your audience, because you're not unique. There are going to be people who are passionate about the same thing. So find content that you're passionate about that allows you to be your authentic self. Um, and then you also find a style that works for you, that also allows you to be your authentic self. And then try to be consistent with that content and style for about 3 months, right? So go for like 1/4 of the year where you're doing it before you change up anything. And then Dre said, be consistent within content and style. And then in terms of getting your audience, use every platform, use WhatsApp, family, friends, YouTube, everything out there to help build.
Hit the streets.
Content out there. Exactly. Hit the streets, and get your content out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So on behalf of Naija Podhub and the Africa Podfest family, I'd like to say thank you guys so much for sharing your valuable time, your experience, your expertise, and your journey with the rest of the community. And luckily for us, this session is going to be online for a very, 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 very long time. So anybody who needs to learn anything from it will have the opportunity of coming here and seeing it. Again, thank you so much for being part of the community. And if there's any way in which Naija Podhub can support you or your podcast, please feel free to reach out. All right. So this is the end of our session, the roundtable session. Belia, you can jump back right in here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. You guys were amazing. Round of applause, round of applause. Despite the network errors, all of that stuff, you guys were so, so cool. The gems, the vibes, everything was really, really lovely. Thank you so much for your time. And you guys can go forth and flourish. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So today was amazing. Wow, wow, wow. Today was so amazing. I'm so excited that we get to do things. And remember, we had a surprise for you. Joyce is going to still perform for us. So Joyce, please come on board. Thank you so much for doing the most with us today. If you are here, come. We're ready for you. Come and serenade us with your beautiful vibes. Joyce.
Hello. Yeah. It's nice to see you. Let's do this. So I'll just perform a medley of 3 songs, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go ahead. This is called It's Okay to Cry. Most nights I want to be alone. I cry my little self to sleep. Most nights I want to be alone. I cry my little self to sleep. But it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel lost inside. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad inside. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel numb inside. It's okay to cry. Hello, these fine child. Beautiful on a daily. From the first day to the last day, I'll be loving you long time. It's all loving fine. Believe me, I don't ever want to see you down. Let me play big sister. Keep away from the la la. Keep away from the la la. Close your ears from the blah blah. Close your ears from the blah blah. They don't matter. And don't act like grandma from fifth floor. Honey, you best behave. Don't act like grandma from fifth floor. Sister, the world is your oyster. Sister, the world is your oyster. Please be here for what life has to offer. Sister, the world is your oyster. Cause you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me feel things only with your smile. You never know, dear, just how much I love you. Why so far away? I want to show you just how much I love you. Emotions flow whenever I'm far, but you're still mine. Emotions flow whenever I'm far, but you're still mine. Sun shines all day, raindrops all night, but you're still mine. Sun shines all day, raindrops all night, but you're still mine. Raindrops, I see them falling from the sky. Teardrops, they're always falling from my eyes. Whenever I see you smile, whenever I see you, raindrops, they're always falling from the sky. Teardrops, they're always falling from my eyes. Whenever I see you smile, whenever I see you smile, smile. Whenever I see you smile, whenever I see you smile. Thank you. That's all I have for now. That was a melody by me and Yinka Bernie. It's Okay to Cry, Sister Sister, and yes, the last one was Aura Stir. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
Joyce! Oh, that was so beautiful. Oh, close your ears to the blah blah. That was my favorite line, like literally. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Joyce with the serenading. It was beautiful. Today has been amazing. I don't know about you, but I have learned so much. I've enjoyed just discussing all of the vibes about African podcasting and everything in between. Thank you all so much for everything that you guys have been doing. Thank you so much for sticking with us through the network issues, through the connection issues. You guys are the best community ever. So thank you once again, Nigeria. You guys know how to do the most. I am really excited. I'm so thankful to be a part of this community. And shout out to Naija Podhub once again for bringing the energy and bringing the fire and just connecting so many African podcasters. I am going to invite Mel and Joe back on our beautiful humans from Africa Podfest. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hey. That was so amazing. Like, I have been taking notes. I've been so inspired. Even got like a little tear there with with the music. It's been so good and so insightful. For me, a big takeaway from the roundtable is that I think the whole thing was just amazing, the whole discussion. But there was one statement that just sat with me, which was about African podcasting is unique because of the spectrum of voices across Africa, across the continent, and the diaspora. And I was like, yes, like African people are everywhere, very fresh literally. To the world. Yeah. And
definitely.
I'm going home with that one.
I am so in awe of everybody's gifts and talents. Let me just shout out, first of all, just Belia and Adele. Adele, we miss you and your quick recovery, and we feel your presence, right through this.
Yes.
Adele have been our captains through the whole discovery tour, just letting us understand what's happening, connecting us across Africa. So thank you for that. But today, I think, and what I can say is we are diamonds. Like that statement really captures.
We're shining like my engagement ring. Look at Belia. Never miss an opportunity to show us.
Amazing. We are that diamond. We are. Belia, you're carrying us everywhere, showing us off. Yeah, I'm into it. So Belia is all sunshine, says Dio. We totally agree. Thank you so much for bringing that spark, that sunshine, that energy. It comes from a place. Please tell people your podcast one more time so they can get more of Belia.
Yes. Of course. So my podcast is called Conversations That Bloom. It's everywhere where you listen to podcasts, you will find it. And literally my energy carries through the entire season that I've launched this last year. So yeah, check it out everywhere. You will love the vibes. Thank you so much, you guys. The love is beautiful. And I really just enjoy everything that I do with you guys. This community that we're building is amazing, explosive, innovative, creative, just passionate about what they do. And it's just an honor to be a part of this journey. So thank you so much.
It's amazing. Thank you. Please come again. Please join us. I know people will be asking us whether you're coming to Africa Podcast Day. So will the people see you there?
Yes, guys, pray for my visa, pray for my flight tickets, pray. Guys, get on your knees and pray. I really want to be there. I'm going to do my best. Yes.
Fingers, toes, everything crossed.
Everything.
Wishes. And thank you for being such an amazing host for this session.
Yeah.
And we ask you to share all our love with everybody in Zambia who hosted, who joined together, people who first introduced Africa to the Africa Podfest cupcake. And it's coming somewhere near you. So among other things, we just want to appreciate you, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a lovely evening. I am off. I just love you guys so much. And of course, I will see you guys everywhere on socials. Thank you so much for the honor. Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness. Melissa, this is so incredible. I'm seeing, first of all, let me shout out the comment section. There's been some folks who've been with us throughout sharing their comments. Rafiat, Dio, Rachel, people who called in, our amazing teammate, Marianne, the folks from AfriPods. If I miss your name, please don't leave me out. Our friends in Angola, Podcast Angola. We had so many people join in. Women's Prayer Group from the US, Adam Mathai, Molly J, Angela Mashua, Sweet and Sour with Hikmat. So many of you joined in. Toby, and okay, so many of you joined in. Thank you so much for giving that love, that energy to this session. Everybody who shared, tweeted, retweeted, commented online at Africa Podfest, at Naija Podhub, at AfriPods, and everybody who's kept the conversation going. What you don't know is that the Naija Podhub team have been working on this for months. Like, if you see everything come together, if you see people sounding like things are clicking, just know that they've been working on this super, and you can see the results. It's been offline, it's been online. Thank you so much, Faye, everybody at Naija Podhub. We can't name you individually, but we really appreciate you, and we can't wait to one day meet up face to face.
Yes, we really cannot wait to meet up one day face to face. And we hope we are working for this day, when this day comes.
Yes.
In the meantime, we continue to gather virtually as much as we can. And our next very exciting gathering, which is the only gathering that is global that focuses on African podcasting. And that is the Africa Podcast Festival, which is taking place on Africa Podcast Day, which is every year on February 12th. So this year on Saturday, February 12th, join us at the annual festival to celebrate Africa Podcast Day, where you will be together with Africa's podcasting pioneers, such as the wonderful, amazing spirits and minds who you've listened to today. Join podcast listeners, podcast supporters of different types from Africa and around the world, who will come together on February 12th to celebrate African storytelling, will learn together, and we will build community around this year's theme, which is podcasting is freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. Exactly. We love podcasting, which is why we do this work. And we'd love to hear from you on Africa Podcast Day. What does freedom mean to you? And how are podcasts creating space for your expression, connection, and for fresh voices in Africa, your voices? And what do you imagine for the future of African podcasting? These are some of the questions we're going to be exploring, talking to each other through a full day of sessions virtually. As we look forward to the day when we will be able to all gather physically.
Yes, and we've been talking about the Discovery Tour and how it's been the road to Africa Podcast Day. There will be a selection of different podcasters from around the world, specifically Africans podcasting about Africa, and global podcasts that are focused on Africa will be represented. We will be able to share a lot of new launches with you, new content. There is a definite sense of our podcast learning to continue. We have amazing partners who have offered some fun goodies. We know that it's virtual, and it has been from the tour, Kenya, Zambia, South Africa, and now Nigeria. But these countries only represent a fraction of the countries that are putting African podcasting on the global podcasting map.
Why does Africa Podcast Day exist? Well, we created this day to celebrate and appreciate the best of the continent's podcasting industry, which, as was mentioned actually, is on the up and up. African podcasting is the next big thing for the world to watch and see. Africa Podcast Day and the festival is directed by myself and Joe, who are the co-directors of Africa Podfest, and we created this Africa Podcast Day, which is an annual celebration, as well as the festival, as a space for the region's podcasting pioneers, which you are among, Africa's podcasting pioneers. So we created this as a space for you to gather, share knowledge, and connect with African and international partners to make this industry happen for us.
From you as the listener, Melissa, myself, everybody who listens to Great African Podcasts, to you, the podcasters who create these painstaking collections of our lived experience, our stories, our experiences, our businesses, our infrastructure, and everything we care about in Africa, to the greater audio community, our friends from the radio world, our friends who've been gathering around community journalism, around radio, creating ways of sharing content on new platforms like WhatsApp and other media, to everybody who has been on all the shared platforms, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's Twitter Spaces, just continuing to enhance the impact of audio across Africa. We see you the way you see us, and we recognize the growth of podcasting on the continent because of you and because of everything that you brought. And Africa is a historically audio continent, and we know that because you already listen to lots of great audio, that podcasting will continue to grow. So without further ado, what can you do, Melissa? What can you do now that you've heard about Africa Podcast Day?
Well, you can get your free ticket. Get them while they're hot. Get your free ticket to participate at Africa Podcast Day 2022 at the celebrations of Africa Podcast Day. And to do that, check out our social media at Africa Podfest across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And there you will find a link to Hopin, the virtual event space that we're going to be using, that we're going to be spending time together at, is called Hopin, hopin.com/events/Africa Podcast Day 2022. So go to our social media at Africa Podfest to get in with the action. If you are not already, head on again to our social media or to our website, africapodcastfestival.com, and sign up to our monthly newsletter, because you'll be getting the updates live as soon as they get out of the kitchen. You'll be getting updates about Africa Podcast Day 2022.
Absolutely. And what have we to say apart from thank you? Thank you. Thank you. We have
Thank
to,
you all.
yes, thank you all. And we have to say good day, good afternoon, good night to everybody who's joined us, and everybody who's watching this later. And thank you so much for your time and for joining us on this exciting journey.
That's right. So from us in Nairobi, goodbye and see you soon.
Bye-bye.